into my life. Well, we are going to continue this great show with
a three-peat here.
A three-peat, that is correct.
The lovely Lois DeArmas.
The
also
lovely,
with Remax Fine Properties in Sugar Land.
And for Brian, who's listening, by the way, big shout out to Brian. He's with Security Mortgage.
He's probably knowing him as he's got face.
He's probably at the gym right now, hanging out, making me look bad.
He's really not listening. He's at the gym.
He's making me look bad right now. He's out there pumping iron and
that are going 150 miles an hour down, I-10.
Yes,
with a big smile on his face. So,
that is true.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you again for your very generous contribution to the Sunshine Kids. So you were talking about your market has changed a little bit because what we're seeing is that certain price ranges impact the market. We see the higher end seems to be slowing down. And is that what your experience is? The higher end stuff is
over 300.
Over 300.
And just, to put things in perspective, we put a house on the market, about a month ago, and we had 38 offers on it, but it was listed at $129,900. And then the houses we have over 300, they're sitting longer. The days on market are crazy.
Right.
So
it's frustrating.
What do you attribute most of that? Is it just people are just fearful, or they're just going to wait and see? Because it's an election year, because that makes some people tentative also.
Well, and a lot of people are trying to blame it on oil and gas. So I don't know. It's just we're seeing that.
Okay, she's got listings. Get out and buy them.
Well, and I want to tell everybody this is something, and Brian, her husband, would tell you the same thing. Is rates are back at an all-time low again. To be able to get a 15-year fix in the 3, possibly 2.875, to get a 30-year fix down at 2.75, 3.75, 3.625, even on a jumbo. Right now is the time to be buying. Right now is the time to get out there to look. Because you have product on the market, right, that is aggressively priced. You've got interest rates that are back at an all-time low. You've got great agents that we have here in the studio, obviously, that are willing to either represent you from a buyer perspective or have listings out there. But more importantly, is if it's the right time for you, and if you're out there and you're renting and you're thinking about getting into the market, you cannot find a better time than right now.
Absolutely, because people are actually, and you can support this, they can buy cheaper than they can rent.
Well, but you said aggressively priced. That's the key right now. And I'm sorry, the market has shifted some.
Right.
And so the issue I'm having is trying to explain to someone when they say, my neighbor's house sold for $800,000 last year. That's where I want to price it.
Right.
Well, the comps only go back 6 months, and the other day I told my husband, I said, I hate doing comps. And then I said, wait a minute. No, that's not true. I don't hate doing comps. I hate that I can't manufacture a comp. That's the problem. Because, sellers, they want to hear.
But obviously the neighbors could manufacture one because, every time we've ever heard someone say something, that house sold for $800, and we go look it up, and it's always been off.
Right.
It ends up being like urban legend.
Or when they tell you, well, the neighbors, I've talked to all my neighbors, and they said this is a good price. Excuse me? Of course, because it's going to help them. But they're not looking at the comps.
Right.
And so that's just something that we're having to, as a matter of fact, our team, every Wednesday we have an office meeting. And right now we're working on, learning comps, and we're going to have an appraiser come and speak because, as the market shifts and changes, we're having to kind of reach into other neighborhoods even to try to see if we can come up with some numbers.
If they can't find a good comparable in the neighborhood that you're working in, they will go outside, but typically they like to stay in the same
But if they can't come up with 3 or, so.
Right. Well, you're right, though, and that is important to know is real estate is done in today's time. It's not, now the comps that everyone looks at 6 months back, or, people look and say they sold it last year in the same time frame for $800,000. Unfortunately, real estate is still done real time. And so it's what is available and what is it going to go for today. And sometimes those numbers aren't reflected in the comps because if you saw a softening in the market, if you see your days of market, and Lois, you can probably talk about this, is pricing still comes down to you price it right at the very beginning to get the maximum value. Because sometimes if you overprice it, that's what allows it to stay on the market for longer. Then you end up reducing it even more severely in the future to try to make up for the overpricing you do at the very beginning. And, how do you overcome some of those things?
Well, you have to try to reason. You've got the facts. You've got to present that to the sellers and explain to them the longer it sits, then it becomes stale. And buyers tend to, they want to know, hey, how long has it been on the market? And that's why I always tell them it doesn't matter how long it's been on the market. Do you like the house? you know, but
It's one, buyers have one for how long it's been on the market because they think if it's been on the market a long time that they're going to have a better
Right.
ability to negotiate it. So, and the average days on market right now for all of the MLS is about 76 days. So it's gone up.
Well, and the problem is here's one of the things is we were in a hypermarket 2 years ago. We were in a hypermarket a year and a half ago. And so, everything takes a little while to sort of catch up. And so, whereas before in a hypermarket, less than 30 days, now they're saying, oh, it's on 70 days. But guess what? We're still below a normal market. We're still extremely aggressive when it comes to those numbers based on the national numbers. So
yeah, we have 4.6 months supply of homes right now, and a balanced market is 6 months.
Right.
And that's a balanced market. So we're still slightly in I'm going to throw the headphones off the table.
Throw those headphones off the table right there.
That's okay. It's just the station's equipment. It's okay.
Yeah.
and so, but again, markets are local, but they're also micro. And we talk about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening in Sugarland is not happening in Pearland.
Right.
What's happening in Pearland is not happening in the Woodlands. You got to get into those smaller markets. And even in Sugarland, that's a big market.
Right.
That's a big market. You get in some areas that are north of 59, those areas south of it. They're not the same.
Well, you've got you also, when you mentioned Sugarland, you've got Missouri City, you've got Richmond, you've got Rosenberg, you get, so a lot of times when people reference Sugarland, you have a whole surrounding area right there. Like we say, the greater Houston area, you've got the greater Sugarland area, the greater Katy area, the greater Pearland area. I mean, a lot of things, and so it depends on where you're sitting in those respective markets. So sometimes they say, well, Sugarland's real hot, but maybe if you're moving right outside that area, might be some changes.
Well, because I work with a lot of investors,
Right.
I have listings from Galveston all the way out to the Woodlands.
Right.
And so, the team knows we have to be able to travel and drive everywhere. So that's what we have to do, though. When we get into a particular market, we have to look at that neighborhood and we have to really research it before we figure out our strategy to list it, because Houston's so spread out, and, based on schools and taxes and, transit and all those things, they really...
Yeah, we're about 600 square miles.
And
Yeah,
speaking about you going everywhere, you've got a great team. I mean, I've seen from when you came on the show a couple years ago today, your team continues to grow, by the way. Talk a little bit about that strategy and how you've grown your team. Obviously, Rayleigh is a good friend of ours. And so, you got obviously Brian on your team. You have so many great
and
players.
it's called the Performance Team.
Yeah, and it's called the Performance Team, by the way. So,
Right.
But talk a little bit about how that growth has been.
Well, it's been actually steady because I feel like it's about the quality, not quantity, right?
Correct.
And so we really was more like a family, truly.
Yep.
I mean, there's whoever's been on the team hasn't left unless they were relocated to another place. So there hasn't been no one's actually left the team.
Right.
And so that's just been a huge blessing. I mean, we all just support each other. There's there's just a camaraderie, and it's really what's needed, because the purpose of the team is to make sure that our clients are well served. So, when we list a home, then we get sign calls.
Right.
People call us on the sign, and so someone on the team is right there to go take care of that. So another person can work at the open house, and so it's just everybody. There's no gaps. Everything is covered by each other, and with the camaraderie that's there, we know that I could send a Rayleigh in to take care of someone, and they're going to take care of them the same way I would.
Right.
So we're just an extension of each other. We have Stephen Mishral and Bobby Little.
Bobby,
one of my
yes,
favorite
absolutely.
People, Bobby, yeah. Give
We
all
have
the
Kim
names.
Quisenberry, and Deborah Turner. She's my mother and the assistant on the team.
And I was about to say, you had to give a big shout out to Mom, because when we did a deal not too long ago, I was obviously on the phone with your mom a lot, and just an incredible person on top of everything.
No, she's amazing. I always tease people, and when I tease and say she's the closest thing to Mother Teresa you'll ever meet, because she's our prayer warrior. I mean, and everything she's ethics are top, and she crosses T's and dots I's. There's a disc test that you can take. I don't know if
Yeah, I know
and
exactly
she was
what
like a
you're
99 on the S and C. So she covers me in every area for the admin. And
You're
then
probably a D and an I, aren't you?
well, very much so. But actually more an I. My husband's the 99 on D. But my daughter, my youngest,
Right.
she was supposed to, of the three, she was the one that was supposed to be my doctor.
Right.
So she came in not too long ago and said, I want to be a realtor. And I went, what? No. But anyway, so I said, okay, well, now you can come in from the back door. So now she's an assistant and she's helping my mom. So after she gets to be in the trenches a little bit, if she still wants to be a realtor, then we'll go that direction. But, we'll see.
It's a very honorable profession, and we have people who used to be doctors, used to be attorneys, used to be engineers. We've got a lot of people from those professions that I know I'm teasing, but
I just
a little bit, right?
It's probably one of those things you sit there and go, no, but at the same time, it's a welcome addition. And you have a beautiful family, by the way. I mean, you and Brian have two great daughters and a son, and just an incredible family. Every time I see your pictures of y'all, and very close, and so it's beautiful to see. From a family perspective, now you've got some members of the DeArmas team continuing to bring new tradition in.
Yes, it's a blessing.
Well, if nothing else, you can get some work out of her in the meantime.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't take advantage of
I have to
your
pay
family.
her.
Who can you take advantage of, right? But I see that happen in a lot of families. I was talking to Jay Carter Breed, whom I think you probably all know. He's part of the Remax system for a long time, and he grew up. His mom was in the real estate business. He grew up, putting out signs and doing door hangers and stuff like that. It's a good way to train kids for.
Yeah, she only had two options: either get into real estate or to get into car racing. It was one of the two.
Yeah, the middle child, I think, is looking at the racing.
How does mom feel about that? Okay.
Real estate.
Okay.
That's between her and her dad.
My kids have been working since they were 8 years old. That's a nice tax break right there.
Well, there are some labor laws, Tim. You might want to mention
but
that.
they stuff envelopes and all kinds of needful things.
Yeah, we'll get up there and get a little labor union going. And stuff.
Yeah, the Rat Pack Child Labor Union.
Again,
we are coming up against a break, so we have still some great guests to come. But stay tuned. We'll be right back.